It's been an interesting week in the world of professional wrestling, and I'll try to break it all down, but thank goodness I get some help. Joining me on the hotline, he is the man behind Haus of Wrestling. It is Nick Hausman. Nick, how are things in Chi-Town, man?
Oh, it's beautiful. Fall is in full swing. I'm wearing sweaters again. I've got NXT on in the background. I'm feeling great, Stu.
Kind of funny. I have NXT on the background as well. Fall
Yeah.
is not quite in full swing here. Not yet. It's
No.
not 110, but it's still up in the 90s and we're still in shorts and t-shirts. So we might get sweater weather by Halloween. We'll see.
Yeah, it doesn't really have it doesn't really as a native Houstonian, I understand that there's really just like summer and then not summer in
Yes,
Texas.
that's
Yeah.
basically it. You're right. You're absolutely
Mhm.
right. So I want to start off with AEW and the story that you broke on House of Wrestling that allegedly CM Punk, at least as of now, is not going to sue AEW for firing him with cause. I Can you tell me more about this? Give me your thoughts on it.
I want to be clear. I didn't say specifically he's not suing AEW. It's suing Tony Khan. Now, I don't have any reason to believe that he is suing AEW. I just want to be very, very clear because as I went through my notes and everything and was looking at who I spoke with and things, it was never made explicitly clear to me that he wasn't suing AEW. It was made clear to me that he's not suing Tony Khan for the comments that Tony made about how he was fearing for his life at the hands of CM Punk. I definitely got the vibe from Punk's camp that they do not view the situation as similarly as Tony does, but rather than going to a courtroom and trying to convince people how a grown man feels, I think that Punk has probably moved on with his life and is not going to be in a courtroom over that one. And to be clear, I don't think you're wrong about him having no suit against AEW. I don't have any indication that there's a suit that he's got against Tony, AEW, or vice versa. To be quite frank, this thing feels like a divorce that's been finalized. I don't know that the lawyers are talking anymore. I think everybody knows who's got the car, the house, the kids, and the boat by this point.
And I think I'm with you. I think it feels like a divorce. This feels like, in fact, it's kind of funny. The comeback in June felt like, they tried a separation and they're going to try it again for the kids, and then it fell apart rather
Yeah.
tremendously. Let me ask you, because this got thrown around a little bit. I heard a couple whispers about it.
Okay.
There were whisper or two about maybe CM Punk was trying to get fired. I don't think that's the case, but what do you think?
I don't get the vibe Punk was trying to be fired. I think Punk wanted to keep away from drama to the best of his abilities. That the situation with Jack Perry at All In was very unfortunate. I can't imagine that Punk showed up to London looking to pick a fight and get fired. But again, and like I just said, about Tony, I'm not in the business of telling people, convincing people how other men feel, what their intentions were. From my perspective, I've never gotten the impression that Punk has tried to do anything other than, do good business, create a functional system where people can also make money, and just dealt with a lot of headaches along the way.
Yeah. I want to get your thought on the possibility, because soon as the firing happened, everybody said, all right, he's going to end up back in WWE.
Oh, yeah.
Give me your thoughts on whether Punk does end up back in WWE, when that might happen, and what a possible challenger. Let's start with this though. Do you think he might go back to WWE?
Well, it's not really up to Punk, is it? Right? It's no secret that Punk has his issues with Paul Triple H Levesque. Paul is obviously very influential, if not the most influential person in the creative department over at WWE right now. And if Hunter does not want Punk there, then Punk will not be there. With that said, I have talked to a lot of people in WWE about this. Nobody has point blank told me I think it's out of the question. Most people have told me shades of, if the timing is right, if business can be done, I think there's definitely an opening there. So from what I'm hearing, it doesn't sound like the door is closed over at WWE. But again, I haven't spoken with Paul Triple H Levesque. I've certainly had a handful of people tell me, I don't know how Paul feels about Punk. Punk made a comment over on the Cage Fury Fighting Championships over the weekend when asked if he's got time on his hands available for doing post-show coverage. And he said, I got time on my hands for about the next 2 months. So if you do the math, 2 months would take us right up to WWE Survivor Series in November. It's being held in Chicago, and it's taking place a couple days after Dynamite will have been held in Chicago, which is the word on the street. It's not announced, but that looks to be the case. So, hey, if there's cooler heads that can prevail, if they see a spot for him, I had somebody else tell me that in pro wrestling, timing is everything. At the moment, WWE is not really in need of a big elephant at their circus. They've got a couple big elephants at the moment between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, and Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens are doing quite well. And then you look at Becky Lynch and others. So it's not like they need a CM Punk in this moment. He would add some flavor for sure. I think if the situations for some reason change dramatically, where all of a sudden several key players in the WWE were certainly off the table or unavailable for some reason, then I think it would be a layup that Punk would maybe get the call in that situation. So it's a very long-winded way of saying a lot of factors. I lean, yes, it can happen, but it may not.
Right. Basically, so you're saying there is a chance, but
so you're saying there's a chance.
We will see. Speaking of AEW stars going to WWE, Jade Cargill, who had the match, lost cleanly to Chris Statlander on Rampage, and it's been reported she has finished up her commitments to AEW. Contract is expired, and she allegedly is at the Performance Center now. Give me your thoughts. How do you think Jade Cargill will fit in a WWE locker room?
Well, I wish we had Dustin Rhodes here. I know he's a friend of the show. He'd probably give you a better answer. He worked with her in AEW and knows what the system's like over at WWE. I think Jade's going to be a huge success, and no doubt about it. She was thrown right into the fire over in AEW. She worked closely with Bryan Danielson, which I think is something that, is not anything to take lightly. He was very proud of the work he was doing. Jade is obviously somebody that pushes herself to succeed at no matter what she does. I mean, just look at her, right? I mean, that's a person driven by perfection, if I've ever seen one, right? I think she's going to get into the Performance Center. I think they're going to round her out, teach her their style, so to speak. And I expect her to be making huge money for everybody here within 3 months. I mean, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, she's got the look that WWE would love. She's muscular. She just seems, bigger than life. She comes across on the television like she's bigger than life, and WWE loves that. So
yeah.
Do you think she starts in NXT, or does she get sent to the main roster immediately?
I would be shocked if she goes to NXT. I mean, I'm not going to rule it out. I mean, everybody seems to these days, but there's certain people that you just look at them and why, I hate to say waste time, because there's not a lot of people wasting time, as I watch this product and people getting better at earning their spot. But this woman is ready to go, marketable. Would you put Cody Rhodes back in NXT? No. Why? Because everybody's talking about him. He's huge. It's a big moment. I would not put Jade Cargill in NXT. I would absolutely have her come to the main roster when you're ready for her.
Yeah, I think so too. I think you're right. It's Grand Slam week. AEW invades the Arthur Ashe Stadium just about 2 weeks after the U.S. Open finished. In fact, the main, or at least the world title, will be up for grabs. MJF defending against Samoa Joe, who's the Ring of Honor World Television Champion. I've heard here we go with the whispers again. So I heard a scenario that would be fun. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't happen. MJF, Samoa Joe wins the title, and then Adam Cole comes around, and by the way, further injures MJF to where he has to go away for a little bit. Meantime, Adam Cole comes around. Maybe you do it at Wrestle Dream. Maybe you do it Full Gear. Adam Cole versus Samoa Joe. Adam Cole wins the world title, and then MJF comes back and sets up, Cole versus MJF again, this time with Cole having the title.
So basically using Joe as a transitional champion to get to Cole and MJF. I don't dislike it. It's an interesting little shuffle of the cups. I think it's too early for Max to lose the title. You just got off the biggest show of all time. If you were going to do a title switch with Max, you would think you would do it there. And if you're not going to do it there, what's the next big event that you're holding off to? I just don't see Joe as the guy, if I'm being frank. I just don't see him as the guy, even if he's going to transition to Cole. I don't see it. I think Max holds on to this title, and I don't think he loses the title till at least we get the MJF Roderick Strong match straight up.
I'm there with you. I'm of the thought that MJF holds on to this title for quite some time. I don't think Roderick Strong takes it off from either. I think it will be Adam Cole. I think it might be.
No, I disagree. I think Roderick Strong has a much better shot at taking this title off MJF.
Really? Okay.
Oh yeah. So Max is a theater nerd, right?
Right.
Max threw a big tell out for me in the early stages of this whole drama. He cast Roderick Strong to the side in a way that was very disparaging, and he threw him to the wasteland, and he took away his best friend, and he broke his neck, and he just looked straight past him. And those characters, theatrically, traditionally do come back, and they come back stronger, and they have their moment. And whether or not Roderick Strong does beat Max, which I think is a very real possibility. People could tell me I'm nuts. I don't really care. I think that you're going to get to a point where you are convinced that he could beat Max. And I think that the intent of what they're doing with Roderick Strong is to draw out some kind of character, some kind of person that you can feel about. Max's early comments about how you're like a generic creator wrestler, right? All these pot shots and stuff, molding, firing him up, just really breaking him down. I think there's going to come a point where the fans really rally around Roderick Strong. I think that you're going to see Max really break this guy, and then I think there will be a twist, and I don't think that people really see it coming. But for me, it seems kind of obvious that at least Roderick Strong would be a major threat to his title at some point. He's been the biggest foil for Max in this whole run.
I suppose so. Now I tend to think Roderick Strong is not going to win the fans over, because I think the fans are solidly, they wanted MJF to turn babyface for so long. I think they're going to be solidly behind him as long as, they want to be, he wants to be their scumbag. And I think the fans want him to be their scumbag.
Well, imagine
with maybe the help of the Kingdom.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, you know what? If you do want to keep pushing Max as a babyface, yeah. How pissed would the fans be if Roderick Strong and the Kingdom got one over on MJF? But again, there's real emotion there, and I think that the story between Max and Joe is cute. You know, the whole NXT thing, but it's not like it doesn't grab me. I'm not along for the ride. It's like a lot of programs in AEW. It's just like two guys put together. I know they're gonna have a match. Now let's tell the story for why the match is happening. You know, with Roderick Strong and Max, I think that it's not like, oh, when this match happens, it just happens. It's like, oh, when this match happens, it happens. And there's been some story going into it. You're going to feel some certain ways. And that's why I say don't slouch on Roderick Strong. I wouldn't have said this a couple months ago, but there's something there. And I think that they've got bigger plans for Roderick Strong than many, many people would believe.
We'll see. I think that'd be really interesting. That's for sure. Saraya defending the AEW Women's World Title against Toni Storm. Do you like this transformation of Toni Storm into kind of the old Hollywood starlet type character?
Yeah, I do. I think it's great.
It came kind of out of nowhere, but I tell you what, it has been fascinating.
I like it. It's different. I mean, it's different. It has people talking. I have no idea why she's still in the Outcasts. That's very odd to me. She seems completely like away from that act at this point. But no, it's wonderful. I'm glad she's trying things and finding herself. And I hope that they find another woman who doesn't have a title to have her have a program with and let her explore this character more. She shouldn't just be allowed to explore this character when she's vying for a title. I think there's a lot more to it here you can play with.
Yeah, I agree. John Moxley defending the international title against Ray Phoenix. Tell me who takes the title off of Mox. It's not going to be Ray Phoenix. We know that. But
I don't. Yeah.
Give me an idea who might take that title off him.
Does that person exist? Who takes that title? I mean, Eddie Kingston seems to like he could be on his way to kind of a belt collector thing. You know, he'll have the New Japan Strong title. Looks like I would be shocked if he doesn't take that ROH title in Long Island, New York, where he just goes absolutely ape shit for him. Sorry for the language. But I would think that I don't know. Eddie would be top, but you know, Moxley won this title in a very surprising way. I think a lot of people expected Orange Cassidy to retain here, but to put it back on John at a time where Punk is leaving and they're going to really need to double down on their top talent and keep them strong. I don't think they see an out for Moxley quite yet. I think it is just we need to keep this guy hot for whatever. And, you know, come what may, he's going to have some title defenses here.
It felt like Blackpool Combat Club kind of made a heel turn, if you want to call that. But it feels now like maybe they haven't turned babyface, but they're definitely tweeners. Because you got Mox, who everybody cheers. Bryan Danielson gets cheered big time. You know, I think that the match with Claudio and Eddie is going to be one of those matches where I don't know they're not going to end up on each other's Christmas card list, but you might see some sort of show of respect. And Wheeler Yuta is, you know, he is, you know, a phenomenal young talent as well. And it just feels like the fans want to kind of start cheering BCC.
Yeah, I think they've wanted to cheer BCC for a while now. I you know, like most AEW characters, they're kind of in the gray area, right? They're not really good guys, they're not really bad guys. In one segment, they're doing heelish stuff, and the next segment, they're saving somebody or getting a crowd pop. I don't know. It's a very muddled act. It's not a bad act. It's just very muddled. I don't really know what to make of Blackpool Combat Club.
Yeah, I like I said, it just feels like a twin. You got Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara, and then Rampage is going to have Chris Statlander, Hook, and Orange Cassidy taking on Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, and Anna Jay. You got Luchasaurus, Christian Cage taking on Darby Allin and Sting. Does Christian and Luchasaurus get a win here? Because it feels like Sting doesn't lose.
No. I would hope that Christian and Luchasaurus get the win here. I mean, they're my favorite act, or one of my favorite acts in AEW right now. Christian is just mesmerizing to watch. when is Full Gear again? What's the date on it?
November. It should be like that third Sunday in November, maybe.
Okay. Um, by that time, Edge's contract, Adam Copeland's contract, will be up, and it will be. I think it is, by all accounts, just kind of a matter of time before this guy makes the leap. I would. I don't know. Well, wait. This is, you said September or November?
No, Full Gear is November 18th
Yeah,
at
exactly. Yeah,
in LA.
yeah. I would think that maybe be a good place for Adam Copeland to come in and pair up with Christian. Just a prediction.
Okay.
Or turn against him and cost him a match.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe he comes in and you know uh goes up against Christian. But
Sure.
see, because I think Christian stays the schmarmy heel that he's clinging to that TNT title even though he never won it, and trying to be the number one dad in the world and all that good stuff. And I think Adam Copeland could come in and knock all that down. He's the one guy that knows Christian better than anybody. So I could see that as well.
Man, wouldn't that be cool? That'd be awesome.
Hey, yeah, it'd be fantastic. And then you got the Ring of Honor World 6-man tag team titles. Brian Cage, Gates of Agony, the Mogul Embassy taking on Hangman Adam Page and the Young Bucks. I feel like this is the time, if for no other reason, the Mogul Embassy have had those 6-man titles forever. So maybe this is an easy way to get them off of them. Let Hangman and the Jacksons carry him for a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, another set of trios titles. That's what we need. Yeah. I mean, it would be a throwback, right, with the Elite and their roots with Ring of Honor.
Right.
I just don't. I mean, what is Ring of Honor anymore? Right? Like, what is it?
You're right.
Why? Like,
Well,
what does it do? What does it do for them to have these titles?
that's what this Grand Slam, it's kind of odd because you got those up for grab on Rampage. You got the world title with Claudio and Eddie defending the New Japan Strong title. It's I love the tradition of Ring of Honor as you do. I love the what Ring of Honor was prior to the pandemic. It was fantastic. Now it just feels like another set of titles that get thrown around on AEW programming. I mean, and it also feels like there is no, I mean, God bless Tony Khan. He's always having great discussions with Warner Brothers Discovery, and he talked forever about they've had great discussions about putting Ring of Honor on TV, but it's never gone anywhere. It's and I don't think it's ever going to go anywhere. You give me your opinion on what Ring of Honor wrestling is in the current pro wrestling landscape.
I mean, it's a place for Tony to try out talent that he doesn't know if he wants to put on TV yet, but he already kind of has, I guess, like Rampage to do stuff like that, where you can bring in like top indie names to see how they work in your environment. Where Ring of Honor is a brand that I'm glad Tony has for his archives, but as an existing brand, I think it's a huge distraction. I think Warner Brothers would probably agree with me. I think they would probably prefer Tony be putting all of his attention on AEW to make AEW the best possible solo brand it could possibly be. And I just don't know I can't fathom that there's still like a loyal Ring of Honor audience. I mean, it feels more to me like there's got to be like a niche AEW audience that kind of just wants more content. It doesn't feel like Ring of Honor. It feels like an extension of AEW.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what Ring of Honor is right now, if I'm being honest.
What do you make of did you hear about Andrew Zarian on Matt Men podcast talking about how AEW, the Warner Brothers Discovery wants they're putting on a sports add-on to Max. In fact, I saw an ad for it, and I think you pay like $10 extra a month for it, and that there was the talk that AEW pay-per-views would not only go to 12 pay-per-views a year, but they would end up on that sports add-on on Max. Give me your thoughts on that. What that would look like. Would that be, I mean, I would assume that's Tony's chance at trying to at least get a piece of what WWE does with Peacock.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, Tony wants to be on Max and get a flat rate, I'm sure, for his content, right? Just like WWE did with Peacock. I talked to Andrew a bit about this in DMs. It's going to be just archive content as far as Dynamite and Rampage and Collision goes. It's not. I mean, he's not predicting they're going to start streaming Dynamite and Collision on, Max, right? Those shows will still exist on TV, and then you'll be able to get the replays over on Max. I mean, I guess hypothetically, maybe you could like simulcast them on both, but it does seem to be largely archives. And then that brings the pay-per-views as the live portion of the deal, and expansion to 12 pay-per-views. I was looking at their pay-per-view count. This year, they're going to do 7. Prior to this year, the most pay-per-views they'd done in a year was 5. So they're looking to double the amount of pay-per-views they're doing, which would, bring value to Max, right? If you're going to get consistently these bigger, more premium shows that you can, hook people to become more subscribers. I honestly think it could benefit Tony. Tony kind of books really good in a 2 to 3 week time frame. It seems to be when you have to tell a longer story with Tony, it's usually a champion, and it's not usually like a plotted out story to get somewhere. It's more just like creative ideas week to week. They're dancing, they're singing, they're in a parking lot, they're in an outback, they're doing. It's a continuation of little skits. It's not like plot points where things are turning and twisting. Just things happening, right, to keep your attention. And I think in a space like that, Tony might, where he only has 2 to 3 to 4 weeks to put together, the next chapter or the next story. That pace might behoove Tony. His mind works really rapidly. So I'm going to try to remain optimistic about the 12 pay-per-views a year.
Yeah, I think I will too. We'll see what happens. Speaking of WWE, Friday night, Pat McAfee comes out. He gets confronted by Austin Theory. Austin Theory says SmackDown is Austin Theory Live. Pat McAfee says it's the People Show, and then here comes The Rock. And I'm watching it on TV, and I can tell that's probably one of the biggest pops that SmackDown's had in a very long time. You had Rock and McAfee in there, and they're hitting the people's elbow on Austin Theory. That was a moment of just absolute fun, and it was so cool to see. What'd you think?
I thought that TKO Group Holdings is now an official entity, and that Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who is signed by William Morris Endeavor, was more than happy to break the SAG-AFTRA picket lines and join his buddy John Cena over in non-union WWE land to make Ari Emanuel and Nick Khan very, very happy for a night. And I think this was a flexing of Ari Emanuel's ability to bring big name talent to WWE that you haven't seen in a while. And it was a definitely very cool moment. But I think like everything I watch in pro wrestling anymore, I watched it for what is happening behind the scenes. And it came across like it's a big flex to me for the new TKO guys. 72 hours after WWE and UFC have merged, and all of a sudden Dwayne The Rock Johnson's back in the equation. I don't find that to be a coincidence.
Well, it does help that it's during there's actor strike and the writer strike. Not to mention, it was very convenient but Pat McAfee was doing his show in Boulder, Colorado. Of course, they were there for College Game Day for Colorado State. So it was kind of one of those things, the perfect storm. We'll see if it happens again. I think if this strike continues, like some people are saying it will, yeah, we might see Rock show up sometime. But I'm pumping the brakes on people saying, pointing at it and say, okay, The Rock's going to be at WrestleMania. Let's see. I'm gonna pump the brakes on that one.
See, I don't know, man. You don't just go out there saying maybe I'm going to be at WrestleMania 40 to take on Roman Reigns. I think there might be some fire to that smoke.
Maybe, but you're talking for 7 months, 8 months down the road. Like I said, let's see what's happening in 8 months, even 6 months before we start buying up tickets to see The Rock in Philadelphia.
Not me. Go buy your tickets, people. It's happening.
Let's see, a couple things. AJ Styles, he's in this deal with Jimmy Uso, which, by the way, maybe you can explain it to me. What's the deal with Jimmy Uso? Because you had the Usos fight to get out of the bloodline. Then you had Jimmy Uso keep Jey from winning the title. But Jimmy said he did that to keep Jey from becoming Roman Reigns. And now Jimmy Uso wants back in the bloodline. You know how I was saying a couple weeks ago how the bloodline story seems to have jumped the shark? This almost confirms it.
They need Roman back so bad, don't they? Right? They need Roman to come back and make sense of this. They need him to come back and make sense of what's going on, because I completely agree with you. I'm having a very difficult time following the Jimmy Uso saga. I'm very much enjoying the Jey Uso saga over on Raw, which I think is interesting. Like, you split a character away from the bloodline and see how successful they are. But yeah, I wish I could tell you, Stu. I'm a little lost in the weeds on the bloodline over on SmackDown as well.
Yeah, it just seems weird. Speaking of Roman, it looks like AJ Styles feels like they're setting him up to be the next challenger for Roman. And I think at least the word around the campfire, that's going to be in Saudi at their November event in Saudi Arabia.
You think AJ? I'm thinking maybe Cena.
You think?
I mean, he's going to be there.
I guess it's not like they haven't repeated challengers before. And
hasn't Roman fought AJ for the title as well? I'm pretty sure they feuded.
Of them. Yeah. So again, that's the problem with having Roman with this long reign, is that you're out of new challengers unless you start bringing people up from NXT really quick. You don't have anybody to face that you haven't faced before.
I mean, Cena Roman is a Saudi match, right? It's two just big names, in a main event for the title. And that's what they do with Roman in Saudi. And I think AJ would be fine, but why would you do AJ Roman when you've got Cena for the exact amount of time to build this match and pay it off in Saudi? I don't know why you wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I guess you're right. It does seem like the more logical match to have in Saudi. Again, like I said, it's not like they'll won't run it back at least a couple more times, where they could do AJ and Roman at Survivor Series, or some other random event. You mentioned Jey Uso, and yes, I'm enjoying that. This whole vetting of Jey Uso continuing. We finally got a little bit of like confirmation. Jey Uso is not joining the Judgment Day. He super kicked all three of them during his match with Drew McIntyre. Does Jey Uso become the thing that splits up Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn?
Ooh, maybe. I mean, something has to. Something's got to come between them. Yeah, I could see that. Sure.
I mean, It feels like it, doesn't it? Because Sammy's all in on Jey. He's giving Jey the benefit of the doubt. Kevin doesn't want anything to do with him. Feels like that could be what divides them.
Yeah, no, I certainly think there's something there. Cody's kind of sitting in the wings. Cody's like weirdly like just kind of floating, waiting for the right moment to click. You're kind of wondering what his motivations are here right now. I mean, I don't really know exactly where they're going with it, to be honest.
Yeah, it does seem.
Which I like.
Say again.
I said, which I like. I like that I don't necessarily know where it's going.
But that it feels like it. You're right. So speaking of Cody Rhodes, what was that match at the beginning of Raw? He beats Dominic Mysterio in like 2 minutes. I mean, look, I get Dom is supposed to be the heel that nobody likes, but that was pretty much a squash match for him.
Yeah, Raw on Monday was not my fave. Was not my fave. I do think that they understand that it's football season, and you're going to be getting not as big of an audience as you would at other points in the year. So maybe you don't need to deliver as big of a match. You will hear from others that a match is only part of it. Entrances, exits, all that are part of the match. The promo time before the match is also part of the match. Cody had a nice promo before the match. So they filled more than 2 minutes of TV time with those two right there, a lot more than 2 minutes. The match was just 2 minutes. And again, I don't know. They're just doing the basics right now. I think they know their audience isn't quite as big as it is the rest of the year.
It does feel like that. And especially, I think I saw something apparently. So Monday Night Football, they're going to continue having a second game on ABC because of the writer strike and actor strike. ABC's got that prime time to fill. So why not do a second game on Monday Night Football or simulcast what's on ESPN? Either way, you're going to have Monday Night Football on 2 networks. So yeah, might as well, just kind of go through the motions between now and first of January, get to Royal Rumble season and then kick it into high gear. So
hey, and like I don't want to get everybody's hopes up or anything like that, but you go back to Punk and we talk about right place, right time. It's what I told to somebody else. I said, look, I know the business is strong right now. I don't know when would be a better time to bring Punk in right now, just because you wouldn't have to really do much with him. It's just his existence right now would bring more attention around what's going on than whatever story you want to hook him up to first. And I could sit here and tell you where my heads are on how to book him, but I do see the value in bringing a Punk in right now while you have, you're looking for ways to bring people in. That's all.
I do too. I mean, now, have you heard anything about a possible non-compete in Punk's AEW contract?
No, I'm still in the weeds about that. That's why his 2 months comment was so interesting. I only came across the Tony Khan stuff about him not suing Tony Khan because I was asking around about the non-compete. And when I couldn't get a straight answer about that, then I just started asking about litigation in general. So that's how we got to where we were. But no, I wasn't able to crack that code, unfortunately, not yet.
Which, and 2 months, yeah, like you said, they'll lead up to Survivor Series and make things interesting at least. And yeah, I think Punk and back in WWE would definitely be interesting. They could find a way to do business. I think it'd be good for all sides. Yeah, why not? Let's do it. So, before I let you go, WWE doing tryouts this week. Among the names that are there, you got Richard Holiday, who's former MLW Tag Team Champion with MJF. Maddie Rinkowski, she's in the NWA right now. Also wrestles a lot for Mission Pro Wrestling in San Antonio, as well as Jasmine Allure. Also, in fact, she trained here in Austin for under America's Academy of Pro Wrestling. Those three and more. Brogan Finley, David's younger brother, son of Fit Finley, getting a tryout as well. You see any of those names possibly catching on. Maybe we see them come up on NXT in the near future.
Well, I would be shocked if Richard Holiday doesn't get signed. I would be shocked. The guy's ready to go. I think the only reason you would be bringing him in for a tryout here, other than to make all things equal, or because again he just is now in remission from cancer, maybe just trying to see if physically he's rebounded from that in a way that you're comfortable with. Those are literally the only reasons I could think to have this guy do a tryout. He's completely ready to go. He's smart and when it comes to the business. Again, the ties to MJF, what if in 2024 MJF's contract actually is up, which we don't know. Is that storyline or not, right? But let's say this guy actually is trying to figure out where he wants to go. Wouldn't hurt to have one of his best friends, over on the other side of the company, on the other company. Just a thought. But I would I would be very, 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 very surprised if Richard Holiday doesn't sign. Hollywood Haley J from Wrestlers, the OVW series on Netflix, certainly got something there. She's a firecracker. I don't know if she's got the maturity to be in the company quite yet. She's got the talent, no doubt about that. I was I'm very impressed with the ring work, but much like Matt Riddle, it's that maturity factor, right? Can you keep your nose clean outside the ring and not let your life get in front of your work? So that would be my only hang up there. But Holiday is definitely top of my list as far as potential signings.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it'd be really good to see him get signed and show up on NXT. And like you said, who knows if that whole contract deal is not storyline, if it's legit. Like you said, be a good way to try to lure MJF over there as well. So he is Nick Hausman. Get everything that he reports over at houseofwrestling.com. Is it houseofwrestling.com, correct?
It is. You got it right. Yeah. Haus, House, Haus.
Used to the Twitter handle and I think Instagram is Wrestling House. Mm-hmm. Website is Haus of Wrestling. So I just want to make sure. All right. So
I'd love to get at Haus of Wrestling for my Twitter and Instagram handle, but there's some German pro wrestling magazine trading company that was around in like 2009 that took those handles and then abandoned them, and I cannot get them back for some reason. So, any Germans selling pro wrestling magazines, hit me up. I think they got my handle.
There we go. All right, man. Nick, I appreciate it, man. All the best to you. We'll talk again soon.